to Jesus, that record. Welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I'm Adam. So I've complained a lot about conditions at movie screenings because I'm not a member of the press. I don't get press passes or go to exclusive screenings or anything like that. I go to the movies the same as everyone else. I go and sit, like normal. I buy my ticket online or buy it at the theater if I'm so inclined to do that. Reserve ticket, whatever. Go in, fight in what can best be described as Hunger Games to find a good seat. If you don't get there early enough, and you get what you get, or you reserve a seat in a theater where you have reserved seating. You've heard me talk about the screening of The Force Awakens, which was drowned out by 2.5 hours of clapping, and a guy next to me having a meltdown over Han Solo's death. You heard about the Creed fiasco of where people apparently thought that they were actually watching a real fight and were cheering along with the movie. I'm not a fan of any of that. That said, I have to tell you, I've seen quite a few movies in theaters where you'd have a large contingency of children. Civil War, I had a child behind me the entire time asking their parent questions. What was it? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I had a children's party sitting in the 2 rows behind me, and the parents were nowhere to be found. This screening I went to yesterday, on a rainy Monday in July, or what was it say? Tuesday? Yesterday was Tuesday. On a rainy Tuesday in July, a packed theater of a PG showing of a Pixar movie was probably one of the best theater-going experiences with a large group of children in the theater that I've ever had. Of course, I'm talking about Incredibles 2, which I finally saw yesterday, and it is now late July 25th. Oh, happy Christmas in July. So let's start off with what this movie is. They made us wait 14 years, and they addressed that in the beginning of the movie. The movie doesn't quite start when after the trailers are over. There's a short film, Bow, which I'll also address because that was such a good Pixar short. I almost cried. It was really good and really emotional. And then they do a little bit with like Brad Bird and Samuel L. Jackson. Craig T. Nelson and Holly Hunter are all talking about thank you for waiting the 14 years for this movie. We hope you enjoy. Which that happened before Baby Driver 2, where when you saw that in theaters, there was a little shout out from the director. And it's a nice little touch, I think, where it's like they're addressing the fact that without people going to theaters to see movies, there really wouldn't be these big budget movies, because that's how they make back their money. Not on DVD sales or anything. So, let's just dive on in with this. Let's talk about Bow first, because really, Incredibles 2 is everything that I anticipated it to be. Not quite as good as the first, not terrible. It's a perfectly passable sequel. But let's be honest, in 14 years, there was no way it could live up to the hype that it had generated by the time the movie itself was announced. The Bow, however, I had no expectations for the Pixar short that accompanies this movie. The premise is basically there's this little old lady making dumplings, and as she's eating them, one of them comes to life, and it's like a little baby, and she starts taking care of it, and it starts aging. It ages pretty quickly because, it's a short, so it goes through life, it becomes a teenager, it becomes an adult, it brings a girl home, they all get married, and you can see through this time, the kids start to push the mother away as he's aging, and he's getting older and doesn't need the parent anymore. And then just as he's about to leave with the girlfriend and not come back because he's getting married and moving on, the mother eats the little dumpling, and then she's all sad. She's all sad and like broken, and she's laying in bed crying, and then her husband comes in with her real son, who looked exactly like the little dumpling. And I know I'm truncating a short film, a film that's already under 5 minutes to begin with. I'm truncating it even shorter, so it's not quite doing it justice. But it really is it's very well animated, and I didn't see it in 3D, but I feel like it wouldn't really have added too much to see this in 3D. Um, but it's it was fantastic. This is definitely a strong contender for Best Animated Short at the Academy Awards this year, I think. As is Incredibles 2, probably, for Best Animated Feature. Because basically the premise is, it picks up right where the first Incredibles dropped off, where they're leaving the track meet, and what's it called, the Underminer shows up. And I like the little touch they had, where like everyone always compares the what's it called, the Fantastic Four to the Incredibles to begin with, and it was a nice touch that they did the thing where Violet has everyone in the orb around her the same way Sue Storm does that. It's really it was a nice little call out. So I think that was then they obviously get arrested because superheroes are still illegal, and the entire movie really kicks off from there, where the point of the movie is they want to legalize superheroes, so that way they can go about they can go and actually help people and not just operate in the shadows and hope for the best. So they recruit Wonder Woman, Elastigirl, to be the face of the operation. She doesn't do terribly. She does pretty well, but they have Bob stay at home, which is one of the things I really like, is that the story really operates with the emasculation of Bob pretty well. Give me one. Sorry about that. So the whole thing kind of goes off where she helps do things, like she saves a runaway train, and all the things she's doing is encountering one villain screenslaver. Which, another thing I wanted to point out about this movie is that it's fun that everyone always calls out the first Incredibles being ripped off by Iron Man 3, where they use where it's like you have the guy who was going to be helpful. He wanted to work with the hero. Hero rejects him, so he goes off and starts his own thing to try and stop the hero, and they fight again because of that. Where that was a relationship between Syndrome and Mr. Incredible, and then Killian and Stark. And then this movie does the other part of Iron Man 3, where the bad guy, False Flags, creates a villain to kind of to push their agenda, where the villain the whole time is Evelyn, the sister of Bob Odenkirk's character, who's hilarious. And it's actually pretty interesting that they decided to do that. I don't know if that was intentional or if it's just they're following that Disney formula a little bit. But yeah. I don't know really what else to add about this movie, because it's perfectly serviceable as a sequel to The Incredibles. It feels like a natural continuation of the story without being too reliant on it being what it was then. It expands the world in meaningful ways. We're adding in new heroes, adding in the last one basically killed off all the heroes in the world. This one adds in heroes, and it really helps make the world feel more full and more deep. And I know there's been a lot of clamoring for a third movie to complete a trilogy, but I wouldn't want to see a third, like another sequel, because this movie ends with heroes being being made legal. There's really no need to have a third movie after that, because what's the third movie going to explore? The first movie explored Bob's relationship with his family as a where um he's a hero who feels like he's left out and the world left him behind. Then you have this one where he takes the role that Elastigirl had in the first way, where he's sitting behind and he feels like he can't do that quite right either. And then when it's time for him to be a hero, he kind of goes back right into that, right into where he was. And I feel like there's not too much to really explore in a third movie. The only thing I would like to see them do is maybe explore more of the past, more of what happened prior to all the heroes being banned. I think that'd be an interesting thing to do. But yeah, I would recommend that if you haven't seen this movie already, maybe go see it. Um, it's definitely worth the time to see it, especially if you have one of the subscription services. Paying for a ticket, you can go for like $5 in the middle of the day now. If you're not afraid of having a theater full of screaming kids. Granted, it's not a guarantee apparently, because I had a bunch of parents who can control their children for this screening. And it was really good too, because you didn't even have kids getting up and like leaving and like having to do all that stuff. It was pretty nice. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick this up on DVD when it comes out. The Incredibles is easily my favorite Pixar movie. And this is definitely a worthy sequel. Not quite as good as Toy Story 2 in regards to Toy Story 1, but still it's substantially better than all the rest of the Pixar sequels. So we'll end it off there for today. It's a little announcement. Today is the 25th and the 26th. There'll be a link in the description. If you go on Amazon, one of my books, The Depths of Winter, will be available for free. You can pick it up there, and it's only open for 2 days, today and tomorrow. I'll add it to the description tomorrow too for tomorrow's 30-minute reviews about DC at Comic-Con. Our next few movies, we have Mission Impossible Fallout on Friday, and then we also have what was the other one? I'm trying not to curse too. I've been pretty good about that too. And the next one is Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. And I forgot what the third one was. But we'll start off. We'll be back on Friday with Mission Impossible Fallout, probably. So we'll be back then.